Hi, baby Flamy. Not quite a full-fledged flame yet. Maybe more of a flicker? A spark. Sparky Grant, that's what I'm gonna call you. It's me, you. I'm you after you grow up a little, and you're me before I become myself. Look, time travel is complicated. Just trust. I come with good tidings of great joy. I've actually been tasked with writing to you from the future and sharing some thoughts about what we've learned. You know, things that might be a little helpful for Sparky Grant. One of the things people are going to ask you a lot over the next couple of years is, where did you come from? And you'll have quite a few cheeky responses to this, depending on the context. Sometimes you'll say, well, I'm a quarantine queen. When the pandemic cleared out my social calendar for a year and a half, I used all that spare time to start playing with makeup in my bedroom. Thank goodness we weren't allowed outside in those early days of pandemic. Or you say, I'm a Halloween queen. My first time in drag was 2019 when I dressed up as a witch named Mahulda Dratch. She was unintentionally hideous, but everyone has to start somewhere. In certain settings, you might even go way back and talk about how you used to rummage through your mom's closet for high heels and skirts, or play with her makeup, before it was explained to us that those things weren't acceptable behavior. But that one always edges up to the childhood trauma danger zone, so we save that one for special occasions. So here's the thing. At this point, you have no idea where you've come from. You're not asking existential questions about your own origins. You're just being. You're just becoming. You're a wobbly toddler of a queen, just a bundle of glittery neurons pinging and firing and responding to some internal impulse to paint and perform and dress up and dance. You have a quiet little existence, posting to a private Instagram account you don't even tell your husband about for several months. You then practice your personhood with your husband and your housemates, live streaming from the basement, this basement, in some looks that I now consider quite questionable, but of course, no one can tell you anything right now because you think you are the shit. And that's just right. That's just how it should be. In fact, I almost wish you had more time. Ooh. Didn't expect to get to this point until maybe a couple pages. I almost wish you had more time to just gestate in your pandemic-powered primal state. More time to experiment and play and discover. It's a special time, but it's going to be really short-lived. As any parent will say, they grow up so fast. And love, you are going to have to go from spark to flame much faster than you imagined. Because very soon, someone you trust implicitly and whose intuition you've always found to be spot on is going to ask you to do something that is going to pull you out of your quiet, safe toddler queen playground at breakneck speed and throw you right into the deep end of a type of drag performance you don't even have language for yet. You won't even end up calling it drag performance, ultimately. You'll come to see it as a ministry of embodied spiritual and social gender identity-based activism. Which, doesn't sound quite as fun as playing dress up in your room, but trust me. There's no point in trying to warn you away from this, though, because at the end of the day, you're going to do anything Pastor Kate asks. You just trust her that much, okay? And honestly, that's one of your better instincts. Stick with it. When she asks you if you want to give the sermon one Sunday at Sojourn Grace, this place, as Flamy in drag, just go ahead and say yes. That's the week your private little drag practice kind of explodes. You have no idea what it looks like for Flamy to give a sermon. Up to that point, you've just been saying yes to an inborn impulse. Now, you're being asked to give some sort of account for what that impulse is and where it comes from, and why following it is, in fact, a good and healthy and liberatory thing. Like so many millennials, you are going to participate in the great pandemic TikTok enrollment of 2020. You'll discover on this social media platform an individualized algorithm that delivers a steady stream of niche content seemingly made just for you. It is amazing. A complete and total echo chamber, but so fun. So fun. You decide that you're going to use your TikTok account to practice the whole sermonizing drag thing. You just want to get a feel for that yet to be charted territory. So you make a 60-second sermon/life story video, and it makes you happy, and it convinces you that, yeah, you have something to say about spirituality from the point of view of a drag performer. You post it, you go to bed, and the next morning you wake up to thousands of comments. Okay, look, yes, it is very cool to go viral. As much as I hate to admit it, likes and follows are straight up dopamine hits. And it just feels good to have so many people resonate with something you made. Just don't let it go to your head, okay? Going viral on TikTok is the modern day version of waving through the windows behind the Today Show anchors in Times Square. It happens to a lot of people every day who just happen to be at the right place at the right time, okay? That truth notwithstanding, you do still suddenly find yourself in a little bit of a spotlight. Certainly more than when you were posting to a private Instagram account or singing to 30 heathens on a Facebook live stream. You're a bit of a novelty to a lot of people because there just aren't a lot of deconstructed drag queens or polygender preachers out in the world, or at least you just haven't found each other yet. But trust me, that'll come. The thing about being a Christianese fluent heathen drag queen who goes a little bit viral is that suddenly there are quite a few people who are interested in hearing your story. Meaning you're about to get a whole bunch of invitations to be on podcasts and live streams. You're going to feel pressured to suddenly be a spokesperson for whatever this thing is that you're doing. As you recall, I christened it a ministry of embodied spiritual and social gender identity-based activism, but right now and for many months to come, you're just going to be figuring it out as you go. Don't be too scared of that. Don't be anxious about the fact that suddenly people are asking you all kinds of questions about your existence, your persona, your identity, your sexuality, your gender, your spirituality, and where they can find that lipstick color. Actually, for that one, just go ahead and create a keyboard shortcut for Morphe Mega Matte in the shade Play Games with the liner in the shade My Jam, topped off with a gloss in the shade Frosé. It's going to save you so much time. I say these things because you are going to be tempted to be the best spokesperson. Turns out you do have a little bit of Enneagram 3 in you. You're going to want to recreate the magic formula for that viral video, and you're going to want to answer all those questions like an expert. You're going to try to explain terms that you've literally read one time on the internet, and you're going to try to voice things that you don't have language for yet. And in doing all of this, you're going to stumble a little bit into inauthenticity. It's okay. Like I said, that the dopamine hits are real, and you are actually only human. But that's the part of you, the only human part, that's ultimately going to bring you back around to why any of this matters. You're human. And one of the most basic, common human things that we all share is a desire to belong. Little Sparky, it took you almost 38 years to emerge. We've been here in this body, on this planet, being and becoming for 4 decades. And although you made a few appearances early on, and you've been nudging and prompting and sashaying around inside our entire life, all the odds were stacked against you. There's a systemic, adaptive, powerful culture in place that conspired successfully for 38 years to keep you locked inside the body and the psyche that you inhabit. It did so by convincing you that there was no place for you to belong, nowhere for you to be seen, to feel worthy, to experience embrace and acceptance and celebration. But you are one tenacious mother. Before you emerged, you simply belonged to yourself. You nurtured your own needs. You parented your own predicaments. And the shock to your system is going to be the same that any parent feels when they wake up one day and they realize their baby no longer belongs to just them. Flamy doesn't belong to just you. You held on for decades, waiting, trusting, praying for the day when you could dream out loud, looking for the signs that the world might be ready for you, that might have changed a little bit. always pushing for the body that you inhabit to move itself into new places and seek out new people to search for a home. All of that pushing eventually pays off. You do find home. You find the people who affirm you before they understand you. Because they know that dignity and respect are the first things we give to other people, not the last. People don't have to earn our right to exist. We don't have to be understood to be celebrated. We are simply, purely, paramountly worthy. So we belong. You belong. To yourself first, which is the most important thing. But then you begin to belong in other places, to other people. To the husband who puts absolutely zero expectations on your existence, your behavior, your presentation, or your pronouns. He just wants you to thrive. To the housemates and the close friends in your pandemic pod that not only give you the space to be and become, but get genuinely excited to see what you're going to look like today. To the virtual church that is all fire emojis and yasses and we love you, Flamies, anytime you show up in the comments. And even to a bunch of strangers on TikTok who see their own humanity reflected in yours. Belonging is a remarkable, reciprocal, self-generating entity that swallows us all up if we'll just be our beautiful human selves. And that's kind of it. That's all I really have to tell you. Your ministry of embodied social and spiritual gender identity-based activism actually isn't all that complicated. It's just you being a human who wants to belong and working to create that belonging for others. And little Sparky, the best practice you're gonna get at that happens during this relatively short time. When you're a toddler queen, wobbling around in obscurity, playing with wigs, experimenting with makeup, and following impulses for no other reason than they bring you joy. Joy is always reason enough. So be good to yourself. Give yourself so much grace. Let yourself simply be and become. And no matter what, never, ever buy shoes smaller than an American size 15. They're not gonna fit you, girl. You're not Cinderella. You're Flamy.